I've lost my dad in this. So him as my father-in-law was really important to me.
It's really a little bit disturbing. Saying that, you know, she doesn't have a family and she doesn't have a father, and then Harry saying that.
Thomas Markle's son, who remains in the Philippines with his father, are very furious about Meghan's actions. They do not.
Oh, honey, buckle up because the gloves are off. Thomas Markle Jr. has finally broken his silence, and the way he went off about his sister Meghan, whew, it left the internet in flames. No filters, no PR masks, just years of bottled up truth pouring straight out. He looked right into that camera, eyes burning with frustration, and said the words that shocked everyone, "The lowest of the low is what you are." And he didn't stop there. For the man who gave you everything, your whiny little self, your whole entire life, and this is how you repay him? No phone calls, no texts, no nothing. Let that sink in. We're talking about a daughter who hasn't spoken to her own father in 7 years, not since his heart attack. 7 years of silence while her father, Thomas Markle Sr., lives alone in a tiny apartment, frail, dependent on the same son Meghan pretends doesn't even exist. And while Thomas Jr. is out there scraping together every penny to take care of their sick father, bringing him meals, arranging massages, installing shower bars, Meghan, she's filming cooking videos for Thanksgiving in her $11 million mansion, flashing that perfect smile like everything's wholesome and cozy. He even dropped the number, $750,000. That's how much their father spent on Meghan, from her first bottle to her college diploma. Private schools, cars, designer clothes, tuition at Northwestern University, all of it paid for by a man who worked himself half to death in Hollywood studios. And this same man, this Emmy-winning father who lit up the Oscars and made stars look flawless on camera, can't even get a text message. Not one. Before we go deeper, Thomas Jr. reminded everyone Meghan wasn't some struggling kid from a broken home. Oh, no. She grew up in Woodland Hills, California, surrounded by privilege most people only dream of. Her nursery? He said it looked like Toys R Us exploded for royalty. Princess dolls, books, plush animals piled so high you could barely see the floor. But Meghan's out there telling the world she grew up poor, talking about rubbing 2 nickels together at a salad bar. Thomas just laughed at that. There were enough toys in that one room to supply an entire neighborhood of kids, he said. She went to private schools all her life. The Little Red Schoolhouse, Immaculate Heart High, Northwestern University, places that cost tens of thousands every single year. And every cent came from her dad, Thomas Markle Sr., who spent decades behind the camera, sweating under studio lights, so his daughter could have the best of everything. While she walked through spotless hallways in expensive uniforms, he was working 60, 70, sometimes 80-hour weeks on shows like Married with Children, General Hospital, Facts of Life. He didn't miss a beat. Every overtime shift, every weekend spent on set was for her. Thomas Jr. described their weekends together, feeding ducks, eating in nice restaurants, laughing at family dinners. Meghan never knew struggle. If she wanted something, she got it. And when scholarship offers came from other universities, she turned them down because they weren't good enough. She wanted Northwestern and, of course, Daddy paid for it all. She had everything. Everything. Yet today, she won't even acknowledge him. Thomas Jr. reminded everyone that their father wasn't just some Hollywood crew member. He was the lighting director who made stars shine literally. He worked the Academy Awards, won 3 Emmy Awards, and earned respect across the entire industry. People who worked with him still speak his name with admiration. He could have retired comfortably. He earned that right. But instead, he poured his life savings into Meghan's education, her comfort, her future. $750,000 gone. All for her. And now, she gives him nothing. No help, no love, no calls. Just silence. Thomas Jr.'s voice cracked when he said, 7 years since his heart attack. Not one phone call, not one text. Not even a birthday card. It's disgusting. Think about that. Her elderly father, with chronic pain and mobility issues, needing support to move around, depending on Thomas Jr. for daily care. And Meghan? She's out there making lifestyle content about gratitude and family. The hypocrisy is unreal. Thomas Jr. said he's broke trying to care for their dad, yet he still cooks hot meals, checks medications, cleans, installs non-slip mats, makes sure everything's safe. He even arranged therapeutic massages for his father's pain because that's what love looks like. Meanwhile, Meghan's posting baking videos for charity, photo ops, smiling for cameras, playing the perfect daughter and mother. But the truth? She can't even lift the phone to call her own dad. Thomas said it best, "My father should have the best care in the world. He earned it, and he's right." After decades of hard work giving her every privilege possible, Thomas Sr. deserves peace, not neglect. But Meghan's silence? That's not just distance, it's deliberate erasure, a choice to rewrite her story and pretend the man who gave her everything doesn't exist. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. Thomas Jr. exposed one of Meghan's biggest lies. Remember when she said she took care of her grandmother in her final years? Claimed she and Doria were the primary caregivers? Well, according to Thomas Jr., that's completely false. For over 2 years, he and their father drove from Topanga Canyon to Glendale every single weekend to visit their grandmother. They spent hours with her, took her to her favorite restaurants, Hamburger Hamlet, Mimi's Cafe, Musso's. Meghan? She showed up maybe 3 or 4 times in 2 years. 3 or 4 times. And then she had the audacity to tell the world she was the one caring for her grandmother. Thomas Jr. said, "That ticked me off." And who can blame him? Taking credit for someone else's care, for someone else's devotion, that's cold. He said their grandmother would roll over in her grave if she knew how Meghan treated her own father. "I hope she's up there pulling strings to make your life miserable," he added. Meghan's whole image, the warm, caring humanitarian who values family, starts crumbling when you hear this. It's not just distance anymore, it's deception. She erased the real caregivers, her brother and father, and replaced them with her version of the story. The loving granddaughter narrative? Fabricated. The reality? She barely showed up. And Thomas Jr. didn't mince words. "Everything out of your mouth has been a lie since you told them that you were an orphan." That's right, the orphan lie. She told the world she wished she had a family. Imagine saying that when your father spent $750,000 raising you, when your brother drove hours every weekend to take care of your grandmother, when your extended family adored you. She erased them all with one sentence because, as Thomas Jr. said, it didn't fit her image. When Meghan started dating Prince Harry, that lie isolated the Markles. They had no guidance, no protection, no media support because the palace thought they didn't exist. "She made sure nobody contacted us, gave us direction, anything," Thomas Jr. said. And that lie, that orphan narrative, became the foundation of everything. Her fairy tale rise, her public sympathy, her interviews, all of it built on deception. Thomas Jr. was blunt. How do you start a relationship with a lie? It's true, everything since has felt off balance, cracked, unstable, because the root of it all was false. She wasn't alone, she wasn't abandoned, she chose to erase her family. Her father wasn't some hidden shame. He was a Hollywood legend, the man who won 3 Emmys lighting the Oscars, a man respected by everyone he ever worked with, and she just deleted him from her life. While Meghan smiles on magazine covers, Thomas Jr. is living reality, caring for a father who's aging, frail, and forgotten. He said it himself, "I'm the only one who can be here 24/7." His entire life now revolves around his father's needs, meals, meds, safety, comfort. He's exhausted, but he keeps showing up every single day, because that's what real love looks like. Meanwhile, Meghan, with her million-dollar deals and ocean views, could change everything with one call or one check. She could give her father comfort and dignity in his final years. But she doesn't. Thomas Jr. said he's going broke doing this, but he won't stop. He even promised, "I'm going to do shows every day." This is just the beginning of the Truth campaign. He's turning pain into purpose, making sure the world sees what's really happening behind Meghan's carefully curated image. His words hit like thunder. "You're the most ridiculous person walking this planet if you don't cherish this time with your dad, because time is running out." Thomas Sr. isn't getting younger. Every day without contact is another day lost forever. And Thomas Jr. ended with one heartbreaking truth. He's not doing this for revenge. He's doing it because his father deserves better. Because there's still a chance, however small, that maybe Meghan will hear all this, look at herself, and finally pick up the phone. Until then, he says, he'll keep talking, keep telling the truth, keep reminding the world that behind every polished headline, there's a reality you can't Photoshop. So tell me, what do you think? Can you erase your family and still call yourself human? Or has Meghan Markle finally gone too far? Because one thing's certain, Thomas Jr. isn't done talking, and this story? Oh, it's just getting started. Thomas Jr. said something that really stuck with everyone watching. "You can get in your car right now and be at your father's bedside in 3.5 hours. That line hit like a punch. Because it's true, she could. One simple drive, and she could change everything. But she doesn't. He looked tired when he said it, like someone who's been carrying the weight of two lives, his own and his father's. Yet he still found the strength to laugh through the pain. Humor is medicine, he said. If I can make you laugh, I know I can reach you. It's heartbreaking because behind that laugh is a man who's been begging his sister to remember her humanity. And here's what's so unbelievable: the contrast between their lives. Thomas Jr., living modestly, scraping together enough to pay for medical care. And Meghan, walking through marble hallways, signing multi-million-dollar deals, acting like her story began at Buckingham Palace instead of in Woodland Hills. It's like she's rewritten her whole history, erased the parts that don't sparkle enough for her brand. The loving dad? Gone. The hardworking brother? Ignored. The grandmother who actually mattered? Replaced by a PR version of devotion. Every real piece of her past traded for image. Thomas Jr. didn't need to raise his voice for people to feel the truth. You could hear it in the exhaustion, the disbelief, the ache that only comes from betrayal. Because he's not talking about gossip, he's talking about family. About love that got tossed aside for fame and narrative control. He ended the live stream with one last promise. This isn't over. He's going to keep exposing the truth piece by piece. He's not doing it for clout, not for revenge, but because someone has to tell the real story before it's too late. Before their father takes his last breath without hearing from the daughter who once called him her hero. And that's what makes it so tragic. Because when that day comes when Thomas Sr. is gone, there won't be any more chances. No more phone calls. No more forgiveness. Just silence echoing back from a daughter who had everything and gave nothing. That's not just family drama, that's a human story about what happens when image becomes more important than love. And Thomas Jr., he's standing in that truth, no matter how much it hurts.